You ever notice how some older guys walk into a room and instantly command respect, even without saying a word? It's not about having a six-pack or being dressed like a GQ model. There's just something about them. And here's the kicker. A lot of these men have no idea they're good-looking. Seriously. Now, before you shake your head and tell me, that's not me, hear me out. Because if you're watching this, there's a real chance you might be overlooking a few signs. Not just signs that you're still turning heads, but signs that you've actually aged into a kind of quiet, confident attractiveness that younger men just don't have yet. Let's talk about what it really means to be a good-looking older man, and why. Even if you've never thought of yourself that way, you might be exactly the kind of man who does get noticed, especially in the world of age gap relationships, where women are often looking for substance over flash. This video is for you if you've ever thought, I'm too old for that, or looks don't matter at my age. Because the truth is, looks do matter, but not in the way you've been taught to believe. We're not chasing youth here. We're talking about maturity, presence, and confidence that doesn't need approval to stand tall. So let's get into it. And you just might realize you're more attractive than you've ever given yourself credit for. Here's one sign you might not have noticed yet. You carry yourself like a man who knows who he is. That doesn't sound flashy, right? But let me tell you, this one's powerful. Younger guys often try to impress with what they wear, what they drive, or how loud they can be. But you've been through things. You've learned what matters and what doesn't. And without even realizing it, that grounded energy comes through loud and clear. People can spot it in the way you walk into a room. You don't need to steal the spotlight to own it. You don't fidget. You don't force a smile to make people like you. And believe it or not, that quiet confidence is incredibly attractive, especially to women who are tired of men who haven't grown up yet. If you ever had someone tell you, you seem so calm, or you're easy to talk to, that's not just politeness. That's someone picking up on your presence. Another sign, you're well-groomed without trying to look like a teenager. Now this one's tricky, because a lot of older men fall into one of two traps. Either they stop caring completely, growing out that wild beard and wearing those same jeans from 1993, or they go too far trying to chase youth, dyeing their hair jet black and wearing sneakers meant for a 22-year-old on TikTok. Neither one really works. But if you're the kind of guy who knows how to keep yourself clean and neat, maybe you've got a short, well-kept beard, or you keep your hair tidy, maybe even silver, that's not just maintenance, that's style. And when you dress for your age in clothes that fit well and suit your body, that says something loud and clear. You've accepted who you are, and you're not trying to be someone you're not. And believe me, that's exactly the kind of man that draws attention, especially in age gap relationships where authenticity is everything. Women can spot fake confidence a mile away, but a man who's comfortable in his own skin, that's rare and attractive. Here's something else you may have overlooked. You listen more than you talk. Sounds simple, right? But think about it. How many guys out there actually know how to be fully present in a conversation? If you've learned over the years to let people finish their thoughts, to really pay attention instead of just waiting for your turn to speak, that shows wisdom, patience, strength, and guess what? That also makes you a magnet in social situations, especially around younger women who are used to guys talking over them or showing off. You don't need to dominate the room. You elevate it. You let people feel heard. That's not just charm. That's emotional intelligence. That's maturity. That's the stuff real attraction is built on. And maybe you started to notice this one too. You've got a natural rhythm to how you move and speak. That slow, intentional way of doing things. That's not a sign of slowing down. That's a sign of control. It's reassuring. It feels safe. And it sets you apart from the frantic pace that most people operate in today. You don't rush. You don't panic. You got that voice that stays steady, even when things get tense. That look in your eye that says, I've seen worse. We'll get through this. That kind of presence makes people lean in closer. It draws them in, especially women who are tired of emotional roller coasters and unpredictability. If you had someone tell you, you've got a calming presence, or I feel relaxed around you, don't brush that off. That's a powerful form of attractiveness, and not everyone has it. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, but I don't have abs, or my hair's thinning, or I've got wrinkles. And yeah, you might. But let me ask you this. Have you ever noticed that when you see an older man who's truly attractive, it's never just about how smooth his skin is? It's how he wears his age. He's not fighting it. He's owning it. And chances are, You've been doing the same without even realizing it. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking looks only matter when you're young, that after a certain age, you're invisible. But the truth is, if you know how to show up with calm, confidence, and authenticity, you become unforgettable. Because while youth might catch someone's eye for a second, maturity holds their attention. And that's where you shine. You ever notice how people start opening up around you a little easier than they do with others? They get comfortable, let their guard down, tell you things they probably wouldn't share with someone else. That's not just because you're nice. It's because you give off a sense of safety. And safety is incredibly attractive. A lot of men underestimate just how powerful that is. It's not about being flashy or smooth. It's about creating a feeling. The kind of feeling where someone thinks, I can be myself around this man. That right there? That's rare. And it only comes with age, with experience, with going through enough storms to know how to keep the ship steady. Younger guys, they can be fun, sure, but they can also be unpredictable, emotionally immature, even careless. When you've lived long enough to know how to listen, how to respond rather than react, how to remain calm instead of causing a scene, you're no longer just a man in the room. You become the anchor. And women of all ages notice that. It's subtle, but it runs deep. Now, let's talk about something that gets overlooked constantly. Your voice. That deep, steady, seasoned tone you got, that's not just from aging. It's from knowing what to say and how to say it. Your voice carries more weight now. It's not rushed, not panicked, not loud for the sake of being heard. It's thoughtful, measured, and believe it or not, women love that, especially in age gap relationships where a calm, centered presence is often way more appealing than a loud, show-offy kind. It's kind of like listening to a well-played instrument. It doesn't have to scream to move you. It just needs to be in tune. And if you've ever been told something like, I love hearing you talk, or your voice is so soothing, take that as a sign, because that's not just about sound. That's about your presence resonating with someone on a deeper level. Here's another one that might surprise you. You have your own sense of style, and it's not based on trends. You're not out there chasing whatever some influencer on social media is wearing. You know what feels good. You know what fits your body. And you dress like you, not like someone trying to fit into someone else's version of cool. That kind of confidence in your style, that's attractive. Whether the clean pair of jeans and a leather jacket, a crisp button-down, or a well-worn pair of boots that fit like a second skin, when you wear it like you mean it, it shows. It tells the world, this is me, take it or leave it. And that attitude, that's gold. You don't need brand names or flash to make an impression. You just need to walk into a room and own your look. If people have complimented your style, even just once, that's not by accident. That's because they see that you figured yourself out. And honestly, that's more magnetic than anything a fashion magazine could tell you. But maybe the most surprising sign of all is this. You've learned how to make people laugh, not by being goofy, but by being real. Your humor has texture now. It's got layers. You're not trying to land every punchline like a stand-up comedian. You just know how to find the humor in everyday things, how to bring light into the room without forcing it. You know what's funny and what's just noise. You know how to laugh at yourself without putting yourself down. And you probably got that sly, dry wit that makes people chuckle under their breath and say, I didn't expect that. If someone's ever told you, you're funnier than you let on, or you've got a great sense of humor, guess what? That's charm. Real grown-up charm. And it makes you good looking in a way that doesn't fade with age. In fact, it gets sharper. So, what do all these signs have in common? It's not about being conventionally handsome. It's not about having perfect teeth or a gym body. It's about the energy you bring into a room. It's about being grounded, emotionally mature, and unapologetically yourself. That's what makes a man truly attractive as he gets older. And if you've noticed women, especially younger women, seem to feel drawn to you, want to talk to you, seek your advice, or just enjoy being around you, chances are you're giving off more than you realize. It's not about being loud or flashy. It's about how you make them feel. In age gap relationships, that feeling is everything. It's what sets you apart. It's what builds real connection. While younger men are often still figuring themselves out, you've already done that work. You've faced the hard moments. You've learned how to stay calm under pressure, how to treat people with kindness without expecting anything back, how to see through the nonsense and go straight to what matters. And women, especially women who know what they want, are incredibly attracted to that, even if they don't always say it out loud. So if you've been thinking, I'm invisible now, or no one notices me anymore, I want you to pause and ask yourself something. Are you really invisible? Or are you just not seeing yourself clearly? Because chances are, you've been stepping into your best self quietly, and it's time you finally gave yourself some credit. You know, there's a point in life where the noise quiets down, where you stop needing to impress and start realizing how far you've come. That's when something shifts, not just in how you see yourself, but in how others see you. And if you've been wondering whether you've still got it, maybe the question isn't whether you do. Maybe it's whether you realize you always did. Let's get into another sign that speaks volumes, even when you're silent. You look people in the eye and you mean it. You'd be surprised how rare that is these days. In a world full of distractions and half-hearted interactions, genuine eye contact is like gold. It shows people that you're listening, that you're present, that you see them, and more importantly, you're not afraid to let yourself be seen. There's something incredibly attractive about a man who can hold someone's gaze without needing to dominate it. It's not a stare down. It's not power play. It's just quiet assurance. A simple look that says, I'm not here to play games. Younger folks often avoid that kind of connection, too busy looking at their phones, too caught up in trying to look cool. But if you're someone who listens with your eyes, who gives people your full attention when they're speaking, you're already doing something most men haven't mastered. And if a woman, especially a younger one, feels like she can talk to you without having to compete with your screen or your ego, trust me, that leaves an impression. It creates a sense of intimacy that no Instagram filter can fake. Now, let's talk about something else, something that's not as visible but just as powerful. You've learned how to stay calm under pressure. And no, I don't mean you never feel stressed or worried. I mean you've developed the ability to stay centered. You don't overreact. You don't explode. You don't let your emotions run the show. You've seen enough, lived enough, lost enough, and survived enough to know that most things pass. That problems aren't always disaster. That what matters most is how you respond when things don't go your way. And that calm, that steady hand, that's something people notice, especially in relationships where trust and stability matter more than ever. If you're the guy who keeps things grounded, who knows how to have a disagreement without turning it into a fight, who's learned how to communicate like an adult, that's attractive, period. That kind of emotional maturity makes you stand out in a way that muscles and money never could. Women pick up on that, especially those who've been burned by chaos and drama before. When they meet a man who knows how to keep his cool, who listens, who reflects before reacting, it feels safe. And safety, again, is where true attraction lives. But maybe the clearest sign of all, and the one that hardest for most men to see in themselves, is this. You carry wisdom like it's woven into your bones, not because you read it in a book, not because someone told you what to say, but because you've lived it. You've failed, you've tried again, you've lost, you've learned. And all of that shows up in the way you move through the world. It shows up in the advice you give without trying to sound smart. It shows up in how you comfort people without having to fix everything. It shows up in how you talk about life, not like a lecture, but like a story you've been lucky enough to live. And let me tell you, that's beautiful. That's compelling. That's the kind of beauty that doesn't fade, doesn't wrinkle, doesn't sag. It deepens. That's the kind of beauty women, especially those in age gap relationships, gravitate toward. Because it's real, it's earned, it's honest. You may not see it in the mirror, but it's there in your laugh lines, in the way your eyes light up when you talk about something you love, in the way you take your time, in the way you listen, in the way you let people be themselves around you. All of that, that's what makes you a good-looking older man. And I know society doesn't always show that. We don't see it in magazines or on billboards. We're fed this narrow idea of beauty that's all youth and polish. But here's what the world often forgets. Real attraction isn't about perfection. It's about presence. It's about connection. It's about character. You've built that one day at a time, through your choices, your values, your growth, through all the things that can't be bought or faked. So if you're still doubting whether you're attractive, maybe it's time to change the question. Don't ask, do I look good for my age? Ask, am I becoming the kind of man I would admire? Because that's what people feel. That's what draws others in, even if you don't say a word. Now, let's be real. You didn't get to this point in life without a few scars. Emotional ones, physical ones. Some you talk about, some you keep to yourself. But what you might not realize is that those scars tell a story that makes you more attractive, not less. They show you've lived, loved, taken chances, faced hard truths, and kept going anyway. And one of the strongest signs you're a good-looking older man, even if you've never thought yourself that way, is you wear your experience with quiet pride. You don't pretend to have all the answer. You don't puff yourself up or shrink yourself down. You've just come to terms with who you are, and that kind of authenticity, that's magnetic. When a man stops chasing validation and starts living with purpose, people notice, especially women who are looking for more than just chemistry. They want conversation. They want character. They want someone who doesn't need to be the center of attention, to be the most interesting person in the room. And that might be you, even if you've never given yourself that kind of credit. You see, most men are taught to look for approval on the outside, from women, from success, from praise. But somewhere along the way, if you've learned how to feel solid in yourself, if you've figured out what really matters to you and let go of what doesn't, you've crossed a line most people never do. And when you carry yourself like someone who's done that kind of inner work, it shows. It shows in the way you talk, in the way you listen, in the way you walk into a room and make everyone feel a little more settled just by being there. And that brings us to one final sign, and it might be the most important one of all. You're aging on your own terms. You're not trying to reverse time. You're not afraid of getting older. You're not pretending to be someone you're not. You're just living, fully, honestly, with intention. Maybe you've got some gray in your beard or some creases around your eyes. Maybe your knees don't work the way they used to. So what? You've got presence. You've got depth. You've got perspective. You've got the kind of beauty that doesn't scream. It whispers. It lasts. You're not past your prime. You're stepping into it. Because your prime isn't about being the fastest, strongest, or flashiest. It's about becoming the man you were always meant to be. And right now, at this stage, in this body, with everything you've learned, you might be closer to that than ever before. Look, the world doesn't always give older men credit where it's due, especially in a culture that celebrates youth above all else. But make no mistake, good looks don't belong to the young. They belong to the confident, the kind, the self-aware, the ones who have grown into themselves with grace and grit. And you, yes, you have done just that. Whether you see it every day or not, there's someone out there who does. Maybe a younger woman who sees more value in your mind than in someone her age. Maybe someone who notices the way you treat others, the way you laugh, the way you stand up for what matters. Maybe someone who just feels better when you're around and isn't quite sure why. So don't brush that off. Don't tell yourself you're invisible. Don't downplay the things that make you you, because chances are you're showing up in ways you don't even realize. You're turning heads in rooms you thought you were just walking through. You're leaving impressions that last longer than you'll ever know. And if nobody's told you this recently, let me be the one to say it loud and clear. You are a good-looking man, not for your age, not compared to someone else, just you. And whether you're in a relationship, open to one, or just enjoy your own company, don't forget that your value doesn't decline with time. It grows. You grow. Every line on your face, every experience behind your eyes, every lesson you carry, all adds to the man you are today. So keep showing up, keep being kind, keep being solid in a world full of noise, and above all, keep being real. Because nothing looks better than that. If this resonated with you, let us know down in the comments. Share your thoughts, share your experiences. Let's remind each other and the world that life doesn't stop at 60. It evolves, it deepens, it gets better. And if you want more honest, uplifting content that celebrates who you are, not who the world tells you to be, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. You've still got a lot of life to live, and we're here to walk with you through all of it. Here's to living your best life at any age and looking good while you do it.